Tell us about Uncle Terry.
Ooh, Uncle Terry.
I know Dante loves his Uncle Terry.
Um, Uncle Terry left home pretty early, went into the Air Force, um, because he got caught skipping high school. And Daddy did pretty much to him what Daddy's daddy had done to him. Daddy thought he just wanted to go to school to play football. He didn't want to have to do all the school stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when he found out he couldn't do that, his dad said, "We're done. Guess what? You're going to work. You either go to school or you go to work." So he went to work on land rigs. But Terry, um, I do remember when all of this broke. I remember Daddy going in Terry's room, and I remember Daddy coming out with tears in his eyes. And years later, I found out that Daddy had actually given Terry a whipping. He had basically, told him we're done. You're not going to school. You're skipping school. You're going and staying over at your little girlfriend's house during the day, and then coming home. So here's the deal. You're fixing to go to school or go to work. Well, Terry decided he was old enough. He wanted to go into the Air Force. And so Daddy signed for him to go into the Air Force. And it went from there. Terry and I have always been closer, I think, than a lot of us. I mean, me and Terry and Wesley, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because I know it sounds like your sister wanted nothing to do with any of y'all.
Sheila, and I love her, but she's always been more self-centered and selfish. She has.
Mm-hmm.
Benji the same way. Benji's the baby, and he thought everybody should just stop, drop, and do for him. Uh, but Terry, Wesley, and I, now Wesley was a turd. Don't know how else to put it, because he would pick at me and I would scream and howl and carry on. We were not easy children to grow up around. But Terry married Linda. I don't remember what her last name was. Um, and it went okay for a while. I think he was in the Air Force. I remember going to see him in Alexandria, I think. What? And
I think he's enjoying listening to you talk.
he had German Shepherd, and it was a wonderful dog.
Oh yeah, there.
Wonderful dog. And he wound up, I think, having to have the dog put to sleep because someone tried to break into their trailer house, and the dog got him,
Mm-hmm.
bit him, and they made Terry and them put the dog to sleep because
Mm-hmm.
it was an aggressive dog. Well, no, the jerk shouldn't have been breaking into their house.
I
And
think Dante agrees. Puppies need love.
right, big puppies, little puppies, puppies, puppies. Um, then I think there was some issue where Linda was sleeping around on Terry, slipping out, and they never could have any kids. Never did have any kids, and it turned out good for the fact that the marriage didn't last. And then he met Monica, who was some years his senior.
I didn't know that.
I mean, some years his junior. I'm sorry, that's my mistake. She was young. Um, and they had. He went to, was it Korea or Thailand? I think it was, in the service, and while he was still married to Linda, and he had made a promise to God that if he um, didn't have to kill any more kids, because the situation was that they would have hand grenades attached to them, and they would walk up and give you a hug and pull the pin. That was just the way it was, and you either shot the kid coming towards you or you died. And he said a prayer one night and said, if you will let me get home without having to kill any more kids, I'll give you my firstborn son. Well, it turned out years later that him and Monica had Terry, and they found out through a series of events that he had hemophilia. He was a free bleeder, and he had to have blood products to help his blood clot, or he would bleed internally when he got a bruise. And so they got a bad batch of blood products, and little Terry got AIDS. And he died at 8.5 years old. He got it when he was, they found out he had it when he was 3.5, and he died when he was 8.5. And he died on February 12th and was buried on Valentine's Day. And little Terry was 8 months younger than Jim, so they were close in age there. And so Terry kind of blamed himself for what happened to little Terry. But by the same token, he also said, be careful what you promise. Be careful what you promise, because even though you feel like it's not relevant at the time,
it'll come back
and
the
future
get you.
But God being good, he gave them a second son, who was, I think, 3 years younger than little Terry, and that's Scooter. And he was born with no problems.
That's what happened with him. I prayed and prayed to let Josh have his Dante, and look!
Yep.
We get our Dante.
And Scooter, of course, is the father of 2 children now, so they have a granddaughter and a grandson. Of which they're really, really happy.
Yes,
that's
Mason
a good thing.
Aubrey are adorableness.
So, and of course, Aubrey is another one of our family's April babies, because I think she's April the 2nd. So,
we have this thing about April,
August,
because Gina's having an April baby. Sophie wants her to be born on the 10th.
And then there's Dante, who's October.
See, I had to be close to my Granny Annette's birthday.
That's okay.
Yep, your Granny Annette's birthday present and Daddy's birthday present all at the same time.
Yay.
And then the best Valentine's present I ever got.
But it's, Terry and Wesley and I really thought our bond was just, normal bonding, but it strengthens over time.
Oh, yeah.
And they worry about me the way Aunt Barbara worried about Daddy.
Yeah.
Her remark was, I've lost enough in my life. I could not live through seeing Howard die. Well, she went. She found out she had cancer and went before Daddy found out he had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, God doesn't put us through things he feels we can't handle.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was, she was blessed enough not to be put through something that she knew in her heart she couldn't make it through.
Mm-hmm.
She made it through losing her daughter at the age of 16, her mother the year before. It was just, we didn't think she was going to get through that, and she
Mm-hmm.
did. And she kind of became our matriarch for the Gibson family until she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's almost like Terry and Wesley look to me, because for Wesley to turn around and say, okay, when are you coming down and I want you to spend some time at my house?
Mm-hmm.
Because normally when I go to Newton, I stay at Terry's.
Mm-hmm.
But Wesley wanted his fair share. And that was like, okay, wow. Just wow. And I have to...
Sister time is the best time.
I have to really be thankful to Wesley, because when Ben was dying, Wesley was there financially. I mean, because I was taking what money I had, and I'm sorry, if they wanted to come and repo the house, they could repo the house, but Ben was going to have whatever he wanted until he passed.
Mm-hmm.
And Wesley was there for me and never batted an eye. And to this day, I think I still owe him probably about $3,000. And
Mm-hmm.
he has never once said one word about it. Not
Mm-hmm.
one. He says, if you can pay me back, you will. If you can't, I'm okay. Because at one point, I owed him probably close to $8,000, $8,500. And then when Ben died, we sold the cows, and that took care of over $5,000 in one swoop. I was just like, just send the check to him.
And I hope you know how grateful we are you traded the cow and trailer for our bed.
And it was like, wow. What?
I love my Gwenny.
What? You get heavy. You're getting chunky, monkey.
Well, if you let him stand next to you and just help him
His
stand.
legs give out and my arm gives out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep his legs a little straighter.
Mm-hmm.
But,
because we've been practicing. He's been practicing himself.
Yeah.
Grabbing my
Pushing
hands
up.
and him doing the standing.
Yeah. But, Terry and Wesley are awesome. Yes, they are. Yep. And I am always going to be grateful for the fact that they were there with Josh whenever I had my procedure,
Mm-hmm.
because they were both as worried, if not more worried, about what we were going to find out than, anybody.
They can't have been more worried than Josh. Josh didn't show it outwardly, but I know you didn't see him cry.
Well, everything came out okay, and it turned out to be an issue like Wesley had, and there was one medicine that they kept him on, and the doctor kept saying, no, we're going to stay on this med. We're going to stay on this med. And he said, I got to the point I couldn't hardly get out of a chair. He said, I couldn't go golfing. I couldn't lift my clubs. I couldn't walk across the living room. And he said, so I started taking my blood pressure and keeping a track. And he said, and I took myself off of it, and I felt 100% better.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that the doctor's nurse told him he did the right thing. He said, even though if you had come at her with what you're coming with now, he said she would have still denied it, and instead of DCing that medicine, she would have added another medicine. He said, but because you gave her all this information and you just stated, I'm done. I feel better without this medication. We need to go back to what I was on. And he was on an old medication, Verapamil.
Mm-hmm.
And she finally agreed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it made a big difference. Now he's back playing golf. He's hoping to play some tournaments over the summer.
That will rock.
He's going to Arkansas the end of March so that he can work with a golf pro there that'll help get him ready for some of the tournaments he wants to get into this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a good thing. And him and Terry have texted me every day. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Are you still doing okay? Blah, blah, blah. How's your arm? And going from there. Terry just got, while he was here, his new auto chicken feeder came in.
Yeah, he was so happy about that.
And he got home and he got it set up, and he said now he's got to train his chickens how to use it. And I'm like, seriously? He's like, oh yeah. He said, you got to teach them how to go over and actually put one of their feet on the paddle to release the food. And I'm like, okay. So Terry is going to be a chicken wrangler. Imagine that. Only in our family.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm no longer the chicken wrangler.
Yeah, I'm not.
The general peed on me.
I'm not a big fan of chickens.
Josh was there that day. The general peed on me. It was very embarrassing because I hadn't been with him very long, and it was just like, Like, now I wouldn't be that embarrassed, but back then it was different. Everything's different when you're a teenager.
Oh yeah, everything's more traumatizing, and you're not gonna make it through. And
okay.
What?
Okay. These people are outside messing in our yard.
Oh.
I was trying to figure out what the hell these people in our yard were doing. These are the third set of people today to come mess with this water thing down here. And I've been up since like 6-something. 6:30.
Checks and balances, I guess. What? What?
You tell us all about it.
But
what about you and Wesley as kids?
Wesley was a little hellion. he hurt his foot when he was little bitty. We were on one of the land rigs and we were barbecuing. And as a family out there, because Daddy and them were doing some work out there, and Ira and Louise Cotton and Nancy and Jane and Ed, they were all out there with us. And there was a rack of pipes.
Yeah.
And they were climbing on the pipes. And this truck came to make a delivery and turned too sharp and bumped the rack. And Wesley fell and the pipes landed on one of his feet and blew the whole bottom of his foot open. And so, they had to stitch it from here all the way around to just below the toes around. They had to stitch it, except for a small piece. And
I can't help the reaction.
They drove him. Ira Cotton had a newspaper and a rag on the bottom of Wesley's foot and was holding him and in the back seat, and Daddy drove him to the emergency room.
And he's screaming and crying
and they sewed the bottom of his foot back on. And I do remember, I was little then, but I do remember not understanding why Wesley was crawling around. He wouldn't walk on that foot for a long time. He would crawl. And even now, and he's 60 years old. Even now, when he sits with that foot like this on top of the other foot. He has problems. He doesn't go barefoot because he can't stand the sensation on the bottom of that foot.
Yeah.
And so, but he would build a ramp and jump his bicycle off the ramp into the ditch in front of the house. And we did kid things.
Oh yeah. But finding out the kid things that you guys did is always fun.
I remember seeing him. We had Marilyn. I can't remember her last name, but they lived across the road from us. And she had long hair. And she did something to tick Wesley off. Kept irritating him or something. And I remember seeing him. He had her by the hair, swinging her around in the yard. Her feet were off the ground.
Never done it by the hair before.
I'm like, wow, that was the toughest head of hair I've ever seen in my life. But she was screaming and carrying on, and he was swinging her ass around by the hair of the head in that yard. And he used to, there was an old-timey song called Rag Mop. And we'd be sitting in the car going somewhere, and out of the blue, he'd start singing that song. R-A-G-G-M-O-P-P, Rag Mop. And I knew he was picking at me, and I would go to howling and carrying on, and Mama would be screaming at us. Y'all need to stop all that, and Wesley, leave your sister alone, and yeah. It was not dull in our house.
What was one of your favorite stories of you three together? When you guys were kids.
We didn't have a whole lot of, because of the age difference, we didn't have a whole lot of things together. Now there was.
What was the age difference?
Well, Sheila was born in 51 and I was born in 61, which
so that's
put her
10.
10. Terry was born in 53. Benji was born in 63. That's 10.
Yes.
Wesley was born in 59.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like Cassie and Sophie and Dante for Sheila, Terry, and Wesley,
Yeah.
and Jim, Jason, and Joshua.
Yeah.
It's weird. And then me and Benji came along. So there was like 2 years. There was 2 years between me and Wesley, and a year and a half between me and Benji, I think.
But our even collectively, back and forth, our family has a thing about that. Like, my mom and Dad and Nanny did like what we're doing.
Yeah.
And her living with her mother-in-law, his mom.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm doing. It'd be kind of hard the other way around because yeah.
Well,
But either way,
that's like Mama. That's like Daddy. Daddy was 10 years older than Uncle Jerry, and Aunt Barbara was 10 years older than Aunt Carol. So it's weird.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh,
Here we go.
age issues. Here. Doesn't work that way? Not by osmosis? Shh.
You have to hold me and
I'm holding you.